Hey, it's Florida Aquaman. I got another one for you today. I'm gonna teach you guys how to throw a cast net. That way, if you wanna load up your bait well, or you wanna catch some mullet for the smoker, I'm gonna teach you all the tips, tricks, and techniques. Check out all that bait. Start with is your mesh size, because I feel like that's an important part of cast netting. Your mesh size depends on what you're trying to catch. Now obviously, if you're trying to catch larger fish, you want a larger mesh, and if you're trying to catch smaller fish, you want a smaller mesh. When you go to buy cast nets, this mesh, they're going to give you two measurements. There's a square mesh and then there's a stretch mesh. Usually when you buy cast nets, they'll tell you the square mesh. So this net right here, as you can see, is a 1/4 inch square, but it's a 1/2 inch stretched. So this is good for micro pilchards, stuff like that. This is a great net. Now, if you're going to catch your bigger mullet that you're gonna use for your smoker, that's when you want a larger mesh size. This right here is, I believe this is 2.5 inch stretched or 1.25 inch bar. So as you can see, that's the stretched, that's the bar right there. So that's the most important part about getting a cast net, deciding on the mesh. If you use too big of a mesh, the fish will swim right out. If you use too small of a mesh, it'll basically become a gill net, which was banned, I believe that was back in '80. I'm gonna show you guys an example of your net mesh being too small. You can see this mullet is a small mullet, and this 2.5 inch stretch, and he's gilled. Look at that. Now this one will probably be, we got a ton of bait up here. Get ready for this. Ready? So you're gonna pancake this net. Like I said, I'm gonna show you guys the spin here. So next thing I'm gonna talk about is the size of the cast net you should throw. I got 3 cast nets here. This one is a heavy mullet net. It's a 12, that's a 10, and that's a 12. In my opinion, if you're serious about throwing a cast net and you're serious about fishing and you want to load up the well, I don't believe you should be throwing anything off a boat less than 10 feet, in my opinion. That's my opinion. If you're a serious fisherman, 10 and up. So really quick, I'm going to go over some terms of the net, so when I'm talking about how to throw it, you guys know what I'm talking about. This is obviously the hand line. This is the horn of the net. This is what you're going to pull on to clear these braille lines. These braille lines go all the way down to that lead, and what that does is that helps tuck the net. Now these braille lines are important because when you're throwing the net, if any of them are tangled or twisted or lapped over each other, you're not going to be able to open that net. Even if you have perfect technique, you zip around, you come back, you feel it, if those braille lines are tangled, you will never open the net. So that's the most important part, is loading that net and loading it right and loading it efficiently. So when you throw, those braille lines don't tangle. So I'm gonna show you the first throw is if you're throwing on bait, pilchards, stuff like that. A lot of times when you throw on pilchards, they're not that fast. You can basically throw the net right off the boat and drop it and you're good. When you're throwing on mullet and stuff that's a little faster, bigger fish, that's not the case usually. Usually you have to throw out and far away from the boat. So this is an easy way to open the net. First, what you're gonna do is make sure you got that on your wrist, because if you throw that net and it's not on your wrist, boop, there goes the net. Everybody's done it, I've done it, so don't forget that. You're gonna make little coils like this. Coil up that net, okay? You're gonna reach down to your horn and grab it, and you're gonna pull that horn all the way up, just like this. So you want it to set flush like that with the net. If it's like this and you try to load it, that is not gonna work. You're gonna get those braille lines tangled and that net is never gonna open up. So go ahead and get all your twist out of the net. You kind of want to make sure that you got no twist and the net is clean. So the next step, and the most important step, is making sure your braille lines are not tangled on your lead line. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take that net and just pull on it, and you're gonna be looking at these lead lines and make sure they all sit normal. And hopefully I can find a tangle here so I can show you guys what it looks like. So you can see how that net is just panning out perfectly. So like right here, if you guys look, you see that? That's no good. If that's in your net, it's never gonna open. So what you need to do is kind of take it, and what I like to do is just pop it out like that. Pop it out. Pop it out. Okay. So I have all my tangles out of the net. The next step is how you grab the net, how high. Now, like I said, if you're throwing short right next to the boat, I'd say about waist level is a good point to grab it. If you want to throw out a little farther, have a little more power, you can grab that net down here a little more. But waist level is a good place to start, in my opinion. Okay, so next I'm going to show you guys how to load the net if you're throwing a bait net. So what I like to do, lift up your net, and I grab the back of the net. You don't want to grab the front over here. So come back here and grab that part of the net, and then go ahead and take it and grab a handful. I'd say about that much. I would say it's about 1/5 of the net I grab. Take it, come back and roll it over your shoulder. See how I did that? I'm gonna do it one more time because it's a little complicated. Take it, come around the back of the net and roll it over your shoulder. And that is gonna sit right on your shoulder, just like that. Now you're gonna take your right hand, I'm right-handed, I'm holding the net with my left hand, and I'm gonna pop over the net like this. Pop, 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 pop. And I'm gonna grab about half the net. And if you watch, I'm gonna pinch it with my hand, and I'm gonna take this part that's on my shoulder, and I'm gonna roll it over. And when I roll it over, I'm gonna take my index finger, my thumb, and I'm gonna grab that lead line just like that. Now when you grab that lead line, you wanna hold that till the last second. That's gonna help open the net. So if you look right here, pinch that, don't let go of that part. You let go of this, but you don't let go of that lead line till the last second. That's gonna help open the net. Now when I throw a net, I like to do a spin. It saves your back. Definitely makes a difference if you're throwing a heavy net. In my opinion, do the spin. All right, so here we go. We're gonna catch this bait up. We got a ton of bait up here. Get ready for this. Ready? We're gonna pancake this net. Like I said, I'm gonna show you guys the spin here. Perfect throw. You can see we got some nice baits in there. Put your lead line in there so you don't make a mess. That should be good. See all that bait? Check out all that bait. So the next throw I want to show you guys is if you want to throw that net far out from the boat. You know, you're chasing fast fish, mullet, stuff like that, that's moving quick. So what you're going to do with this throw is you're going to go ahead and grab it, and you're going to grab the back of that net. Remember? Not the front. You want to grab that back. Take it and put it in your mouth. Now when you do this, make sure you don't get that braille line in your teeth or the net, because you can lose a tooth doing this. So just keep track of that. So you're gonna put it in your mouth. I'm gonna put it right here. And you're gonna fold half the net over like this. Same thing, you're gonna flip it and then grab it with that. And what this is gonna do is this is gonna help you guys throw further away from the boat. Not having that net on your shoulder won't drag down the net as much, and you can get a further throw. It won't open up as easily, but you can definitely throw further. You can spin it if you want to, or you can just half throw it. This is a good throw to use if you're wading. If you're wading, you know, you obviously want to grab the net lower down versus up here. If you're on a boat, you can grab it a lot higher, but if you're in the water, you're gonna need to grab it down here. All right, I'm gonna show you guys this wading technique. So another quick tip, if you guys are throwing that net, the wind is your friend. Try to have that wind at your back. That's gonna make the net open up easier. You're not gonna be fighting it. It's just like when you're scuba diving, the bridges in my earlier video, and you're fighting the current. Don't fight the conditions, have it at your back. It's gonna make it a lot easier to throw that net. Now, sometimes you have to throw it into the wind, that's just the reality, but if you have a choice, definitely have it at your back. So I got another quick tip for you guys. If you look, I have a tower on my boat. And what that does, if you look, it gives me a bird's eye view. If you guys are thinking about adding a tower on your boat, I will say definitely do it. I will not own another flats boat that does not have a tower. It makes a huge difference with just being able to see the fish, the bait, when you're running shallow. It's definitely a huge plus. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the weight of your net. The weight of your net has value in how fast it sinks and how deep a water you're throwing. I got two nets here. This one is a chain net, which is kind of used for mullet when you're wading. This net is not heavy. It's a 10-foot net. It probably weighs about 8 pounds. It's really good for when you're throwing in the shallows and maybe about 3 feet. You don't need something that sinks. You just need something that kind of sets on the bottom. Now, if you're throwing in deeper water, you definitely want a heavier net. This is a 12-footer, it's 16 pounds, and it still doesn't sink that fast because it has really small mesh. And what that does is it acts like a parachute when it sinks. So it's gonna sink slower. So a net with bigger mesh is gonna sink a lot faster than one with a smaller mesh. So you have to adjust your weight accordingly. If you're throwing a 12-foot net and you're throwing it in 4, 6, 8 foot of water, you probably want to do about 1.5 pounds of lead per radius of the net. So if you're throwing a 12, 16 pounds is a good net. You really, if you're on the bait, you're only going to be throwing the net maybe once or twice. You shouldn't be throwing it 3 or 4 times, 5, 6. I mean, so the weight doesn't really matter that much. When you start throwing that net a ton, then you got to factor in that weight because it tires you out. So when you guys are looking for bait, you can use these guys to your advantage. These pelicans are out here all day, all night, and they're the best fishermen and they know where the bait is. So if you see those pelicans, that's definitely a cue. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys could like, subscribe, comment below, it'll help grow my channel so I can get you guys some high quality videos. And this is Florida Aquaman, and I'm out till next time.